Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.
Thank you for listening. My name is Alexa Polar. I got to change that. It's just me, Alexa Polar. You can reach us at 818-602-4929. That's 818-602-4929. You can always listen live via latalkradio.com or via the app LA Talk Radio. It's free to download, and there's a lot of great content shows here. You can also find us via YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, any podcast streaming services after it goes live. So you should be able to find this show, particularly starting tomorrow. I believe it'll be on iTunes tomorrow or Tuesday the latest, and with YouTube, it'll be on YouTube on Tuesday. Today, I'm really psyched to have, and I'm not going to say your name because I'm going to mess it up, and I don't want to do that. How do you say your name?
Olesia.
Olesia. Okay, and how do you say your last name?
It's in Russian. It's Saveleva, but you can for easier. It's Saveleva.
Okay, it's not easy for me.
Sorry,
That's okay. But I love it. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
You're a cinematographer, director, photographer. Before we get started into this, I don't know is there a difference between cinematographer and director photography? Because I've met a couple people where they prefer to be called director photographers. Is there a difference between the two, or is it just a title?
I think this is just a title. I know that there is an Oscars for best cinematography, so that's why I prefer to call myself a cinematographer.
That's a good way of thinking of it. That's really smart. That's a great way of thinking of it.
To be honest, it's just the title. It's the same thing.
Okay, and so you're from Russia. How did you get started in this industry?
Well, it was back, I think, in 2012 when I graduated from the university back in Russia, and I was interested in cinema, and it started even from me being in a theater as an actress, and I thought, oh well, maybe I can act in movies as well, and so I started being an actress in like short student film in New York, and it was pretty boring, I would say, and I thought that people who are with the camera are having much more fun than I do. Okay. So I'm like, who are these people with the camera running like behind me? And so I went and in Los Angeles enrolled to directing program in New York Film Academy. Okay. And during that program, 1 year we were studying all filmmaking aspects: screenwriting, producing, editing, everything. Yeah. And one of those was cinematography, and that was the most fun and the most challenging for me. And I thought, wow, this is something else. This is really like, I never enjoyed anything doing in my life as cinematography. And so I quit New York Film Academy and I entered AFI.
Nice.
And I entered AFI cinematography program. And that's how I become a cinematographer.
And you're great at it. I got to see some footage that you shot. It's
Thank you.
Really talented, really beautifully done.
Thank you so much.
So obviously you went into the right direction, and it's great that you have a passion and love for it. So that's important. Is there any goals that you have, like as to who you want to work with in the near future or in the future in general, or any type of project, like genre?
I love comedy.
Comedy, okay.
And it is very challenging because usually comedies are shot in a way that everything is bright and lit, and there is no creative input that cinematographers have, or at least that's how I was thinking about it before. But I love comedy because this is comedy is life.
Right.
For me, nothing makes sense if you can't laugh at it. So, I would love to shoot and I know Paul Thomas Anderson had a movie, Punch Drunk Love, which is kind of like a dramedy,
like a dark comedy.
Yeah. But it is very, very, it is shot very outstanding.
Outstanding.
So yeah, I would love to do something like that.
That's great. I could see something like that too for you, because like I said, and we'll get to that towards the end, like your website and all that. But what have you worked on recently?
I just shot a commercial. Well, that was a commercial. It's like a commercial / documentary for what is it? Slotomania. It's basically gambling online.
Okay.
So that's what we shot just like last week, and right after that we shot also a short film with my friends from AFI.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun because we came up with the idea to shoot something like the night before, and then the next day we just took cameras and start shooting.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was pretty fun.
So it wasn't like fully planned out. It was just like, let's just go, let's just do this.
It was like not planned at all. There was like one of those times when I was just like, what are we doing? And in the morning I have no idea, but in the end of the day we're like all so happy. And I think it's because the group of people who like we were like 3 of us, we were all like completely dedicated to make this project as best as we could. And I believe that we are all very talented, and I was like, I had a pleasure to work with such talented people who we worked with, and yeah, I hope it turns out well. So we just need to like edit it now. And
it sounds fun though. Well, was it a comedy? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good though that you did something that you want to do.
Oh yeah, it was. That's why I was like, and I ended up co-directing it because the director was acting in it.
Okay.
He was
okay.
the lead actor.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
So now, I have this question that I always ask when I come across cinematographers. Do you have a preference of camera? Because I know everyone tells me it's the glass, it's the lens, you know. So obviously that's a huge that's what makes the vision, that's what makes it pop, and you know that's what gives you the creativity. I direct. I'm not really savvy when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's not my strong point at all. So I always like to ask, do you have a preference in camera, or is there a preference in camera, and is there a preference in lens? Because I know there's different types of lenses as well.
Yes, well, the camera, if I have an opportunity to shoot with ARRI camera, that's always a go-to. Yeah, exactly, because it's just the skin tones become so much more natural on screen. Okay. And then glass is great to have like anamorphic lenses, for example. Okay. I love Lomo anamorphics, which are the old Russian anamorphic lenses. Okay. And they don't make them anymore, so all the lenses that are in the world, they're somewhere scattered around the world. Like there's I was in the Lomo factory actually last summer, and they said that they don't know the recipe, so they can't reproduce the same lens.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those are great lenses. But then in the end of the day, I always say that the story is the most important. So if you have a good story, you can shoot it with iPhone. It will look better with Alexa or Mira, but the movie will still be good if the story is good.
Right. It takes a lot of components because it's a good story, it's good acting. Yeah. It has to be visually, capture you, and then the sound. Because I know like any one of those things fails, then it could bring it down.
That's for
sure.
So
you can have a great story, but if the performance is not up to par, then it's going to lose it in the story. Yeah. You could have, so it's obviously you have to have all the components together to make something magical, to make it something like, wow, this is great. Yeah. I haven't seen the movie Roma, and I've heard a lot about it. It's weird. It's one of those things with me, like I hear two things, like where some people are just like, it was okay. And then I hear some people say like, it was fantastic, it was great. Have you seen it?
I have.
Is it a good story, visually, everything? Or would you, because I don't know. My thing is, personally, I just haven't had the desire to watch it. It has nothing to do with the film itself. It's just like I'm in a funk right now where I'm not interested. I don't know why. It's just like I'm going through this phase and I'm just like, I'll see it whenever, it's on Netflix, right. And but have you seen it?
I have seen it, and I think that all of these components that you were talking about, they are all done like very well, outstandingly well. I missed the emotional part of it.
Okay.
I was not engaged. I was looking at this movie. I was thinking, wow, this is a great film. It was made well, but I was not engaged.
Okay.
But to talk about the Oscars shortlist, there is a Russian movie, Aika.
Aika. Okay.
It is actually presented by Kazakh government for some reason. Well, for the reason that the main lead actor is from Kazakhstan, but the director, he's Russian, and they are actually now in Los Angeles in California.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, and I was on the screening a couple of days ago of this movie, and
How was it?
I was very surprised. I think it was a really good movie.
So you think this is a strong Oscar contender for the shorts?
You'd
hope so.
I'd hope so, because I truly I was expecting it not to be the best because it's just the second feature film of this director. But I was pleasantly surprised, and I was shocked, and I was engaged throughout the whole film. And when it ended, I was like, I want more.
Wow. Was this a short or a feature?
Feature.
A feature, okay.
Yeah.
So this will be in the international category, you think?
Yes.
Is that okay?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
It's in the international category, okay.
It's like a competitor with the Roma.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So between the two, you feel that one's stronger.
I feel so.
What was it called again?
Aika.
I gotta check it out then. Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yes. Okay.
I recommend everyone to check it out.
Aika. Okay.
Yeah.
Aika. Okay. Because like I said, I don't know what it was. And I'm from Peru, so I'm Latin, and so when I hear a lot of praise of the actress for in Roma, and how she's representing indigenous women and all this stuff, I think that's great. But I still haven't had that desire to watch it. I don't know why. But yeah, it's really weird. I want to see the Ruth Gator Ginsburg, the one about I forget what it's called, but it's coming out this week, I believe. About the judge here in the United States. She's super fantastic. I would hope. My goal is to meet the real judge in person. She's just outstanding. I gotta find it. I think it's on the basis of sex or sex. I gotta find it.
Okay, cool.
But it's coming up. What do you have anything coming up this year, filming wise?
We have a short film planned.
Okay.
In the end of January, we're shooting it.
Okay.
And it's about a veteran who comes back home, and he lost his legs, and he doesn't. Basically, it's about his wife, who is trying to support him, and all the difficulties she's going through. Because we have a lot of movies where we're in the veteran's point of view, how he struggles. But on this one, we are focusing on the wife of this person who needs to also change her life around this whole tragedy in their life.
Okay.
And then I'm planning to shoot a feature film in February.
Okay.
And it is going to be like a thriller, a horror thriller.
Okay.
We all know that horrors and thrillers are easier to sell.
Right.
So that's why it's something that we decided to make. That's the plans for the next couple months.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot more after that. Like I said, I'm going to push your information out there because it was really great what I saw.
Thank you.
And I feel people should know more of you. And
thank you.
I'd like to see more work from you. What's it called? It's called On the Basis of Sex.
Okay.
The story of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I always get her middle name wrong. But she's in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So she's just a sweet little old lady in the Supreme Court right now, and she refuses to give up. But anyhow, it's a true story of her. But I talk about that because we're talking a lot about females in this industry. And that's sort of what started Female Filmmakers Fuse. We started we're going on our third year now. And it was just mainly to help support and empower other female filmmakers. And we started it, ironically, before the whole Me Too movement and everything, and all that catapulted it to a whole different level. Do you notice a difference? Do you see a difference in the industry? I mean, we're going on our second year from that, since the Me Too movement.
Right.
Do you notice there's any difference on set? Respectable wise between colleagues? Because I hear a little bit of both, where people are just kind of like starting to get back into their normal routine of making jokes and comments, and so I'm wondering if there's an actual change, or people think this is just a phase and they're just waiting for it to go away.
Well, I think, to be honest, I never encountered any problems.
That's good.
Being a female.
That's good.
So that's why I can't tell like if it's changing or not. But there are definitely always jokes about like, oh, who's gonna like clean the floor? Of course, a woman would need to go. But this is like jokes that only like I make those jokes.
Okay.
Like I'm having fun about that. I don't know. Again, like I've never been hurt by being a woman on set. That's why I don't take this problem as like something to
more personal.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about if you see a post, for a job? Because I get different perspectives of this, where someone says looking for a female DP, okay, and then you get comments where, why are you saying that you're looking only for a female DP? You should just say I'm looking for a DP. If you're looking for a female DP, you should keep that personal and look at the female reels, like the females that send their reels and resumes. But there's people that actually post that, for example, like looking for a female DP. Do you think there's something wrong with that, or because they're saying like there could be legality issues with that, where you're basing it on gender and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to just put a job offer and that's it. But I've noticed it a lot where people say, I'm looking for this specific type. I've seen it where I'm looking for, a Latin or Hispanic DP, or a Hispanic editor or whatever. But they're they've become very more specific of it having to be female. Not just gender, but where they're from, and sometimes even skin color. Like, it trips me out because I'm seeing that more. And I feel like if you're going to share something like that, go to a group that specializes in that. Like, there's Female Filmmakers. There's a private group on Facebook, and we're all very supportive. And so there's always people posting job offers there. And obviously it's only females that are watching it because it's only females allowed in that group. Right. So with something like that, I can understand. You don't have to be specific. But when you're sharing it on an open job post, do you think that could be problematic? Do you think they should keep it not completely specific?
I don't think it's problematic.
No.
I don't think at all. I think there are definitely differences between men and women.
Right.
And I don't need to be more specific about it, but there are. And the fact that some people prefer men over women or women over men, it's their preference. It's like, I don't know, when you think about do you have a husband?
No.
A boyfriend?
No, I'm happily single.
Okay.
I like to keep it that way.
Cool. So, for example, or let's say you are thinking about a guy who you want to date, and you're like, oh, I think he should be tall, 5'6", or like, I don't know, 6'1".
Okay, I was like 5'6". I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing against any guy that's a good 5'6".
But and he needs to have like dark curly hair, like shoulder length.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that a person who is like 7 feet tall with blonde hair, he's a bad person.
Right, that's true.
It's just not something who you're looking for.
That's true.
So that's why I think that being specific about what you want is totally fine. And I don't know where these people are coming from. Of course, if they say, I want females only because I think all men suck and they're awful human beings, then again...
That's problematic.
That's problematic for that person.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to do anything with men, because we know that not all men suck.
Right.
Or maybe not... I mean, anyways, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like there are bad and good people in the world.
That's very true.
And you can, like, only people who judge... again, like, if you think... Also, there is another thing. Like, if I, for example, for some reason one day would be thinking that, okay, I'm looking for a gaffer who is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even know why would I do that. But okay. So, like, hypothetically,
okay,
this restricts me from revealing some like surprises of life, of like how a man can be actually more helpful in this position.
mm-hmm.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that people who think what they know they need
mm-hmm.
sometimes put themselves in a box,
mm-hmm.
and cutting themselves from like opening new like horizons in this world.
Right.
Because sometimes something that you're not expecting to be good,
mm-hmm.
it turns out to be even better.
Right.
So I wouldn't box yourself into something unless you know very specifically what you need.
Yeah. I try to work. I don't try to base it on gender. I don't try to base it on anything. I try to base it on talent. So
Right.
if the person comes and I'm looking at their reels or their resume, and I'm looking at references, sometimes I don't even have that much power because, for example, you as a DP, as a cinematographer, you have input on who your team is, who's under your team.
Right.
Even though you and I, if I was the director and you're my cinematographer, we would be working together. And this is an issue that I've had with another DP I used to work with, where I didn't like certain people. And it was more personal. They were rude to me or whatnot.
Right.
So I said, I don't want that. If it was my set, I don't want that person on my set.
Right.
Now, if this cinematographer likes that person and really wants to push for that person and be on the set, we might have an issue, the cinematographer and myself. So in that essence, I don't know how much power I have when you as a cinematographer have to hire or want to try to hire people that you are familiar with working with. Right. And of course I would have to respect and trust who you bring on set.
Right.
And it's a relationship between the director and the cinematographer, where the cinematographer should also respect what the director wants, and
right.
for whatever reason they want it, whether it's personal or not,
Yeah.
because that's going to reflect on their work.
Exactly.
If you're working with someone you really don't want to work with, that's going to reflect on your work. It's gonna unfortunately pour onto other people on set.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that something you are talking about personal conflict with, let's say, my key grip, for example.
Okay.
You have problems with my key grip, and you are saying like, Olesia, can we find somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, this is a great key grip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this can happen, because if the key grip doing something rude or unrespectful to you,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to work with that person.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That's like very clear to me.
Right. That's
because
good.
The main thing on set, I believe, is energy. And
mm-hmm.
as long as you as a director is the
mm-hmm.
main person,
mm-hmm.
like the way you behave, the whole set behaves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're unhappy with one little screw in this
mm-hmm.
whole mechanism,
mm-hmm.
this whole mechanism is going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only here to provide all the working parts for you to make this whole thing happen.
And see, this is why I want to push you out there, because that's just like it's amazing, because it's important to know we all have bad days. You know, we're all human. We have our flaws, we have our issues, and sometimes, unfortunately, that it's on us individually to see how we can control that and not have to bring it on to work. And that's in any industry, and that's. For example, that's a part of the problem with with cops, with police officers. They make excuses for it. Maybe he had a bad day. That's why he beat up this person. And I'm like, maybe he shouldn't go to work that day.
Right.
You know? So I can understand to a certain degree that, you know, so I have a lot of, me personally, and I've said this many times, I have anger issues. So I'm that person that will just, if I'm not happy, you would know I'm not happy, and right. I can't hide it, because even if I try to hide it, my face will say it.
Right.
And
that's why you're director. You express everything.
Right. So that's an issue that my goal is to work on this year. And
That's great.
Yeah, because I have projects coming up, and I get really nervous, and I'm looking for DPs, just FYI, for my my upcoming projects. So and that's why I also like asking like what kind of camera you like working with, and it's really important to have that sort of relationship, and that's something I've learned is that regardless, people say don't let it be personal. Unfortunately, personal plays into it.
Oh yeah, no, it is definitely personal.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a marriage.
Exactly.
For the course of this project.
Exactly. This is very true. And so that's why it's very important. Have you been working with the same director, or have you worked with different directors?
I've been working with the same directors a lot, actually. People who I worked with back in school, I'm still working with them on different projects and commercials. And then producers as well, who I worked with in school, I'm still working with them. And then, I love to work with and I hope they love to work with me too. Since
since you're still there,
yeah. So I think that relationship between director and cinematographer is very personal, and the more closer you get, the better the project turns out to be, because you don't have this ego fights. Nobody is trying to like show off and like try to prove themselves. It becomes about your project, your common project.
Yeah, this is true, because it's something that I would hope that people that work on set are proud of what they're working on, and it's not just a paycheck if it is that, because the thing is it still represents you. It still might come up in the future. You know what I mean? Like for an actor, for example, if they're on set and they're just loud, like they're super talented, but they could be horrible people. Like, you know what I mean? Like they could be just their ego outweighs everything else. And so when they leave that set and they're on to the next one, and years from now, this movie comes up, whether it was successful or not, but because of this actor, it might reflect on that. And then you're going to get people asking, oh, did you work? I saw that you worked on this project with this actor. How was it? And it's kind of like, that guy was so awful, or that girl was it, whoever it is, it's just like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I would hope there's more pride in that. And then I like it also when they talk more about it. Like, that's why when I'm on set, I tell people, like, I'm totally fine with the cell phones, like social media, because then you're helping promote the project.
Right.
So when you have your people on set, whether it's cast or crew, I'm like, go for it. Like, take pictures.
That's smart.
Like, make sure you tag the movie. That's what I tell them. Like, just tag the movie. That's all. Just if there's certain things, like certain plot points or plot twists that I don't want revealed, I'll just tell them, like, not right now. Just don't reveal this part, but please go for it. Yeah. Because especially if you're an independent filmmaker, that's how you get
people to know about your project for yourself.
And I don't know if you come across this, but I talked to a couple of people where it wasn't just actors, where producers were just talking to actors and seeing how many followers they have, right? I started talking to a couple producers where they started talking and looking into crew members, how many followers they have.
Okay.
And I thought that was very interesting, because I was just like, why is that? And then I started realizing that these crew members, if you go on their Instagrams or their Twitters or whatever, they're sharing all their projects. So they're doing all this promoting for the production.
Right.
So producers are super smart about that. And they're like, oh, yeah, this gaffer, for example, he's good, but this gaffer who's not so good has 1 million followers.
Yeah. Oh.
You get what I'm saying? And so they might want to say, like, let's try to get that gaffer.
Okay.
Because he's got 1 million followers and he's always posting on his social media. And so people are going to be talking about this project. Just make sure he tags, So I don't know if you've come across that.
I have not. This is a very new thing to me.
Okay.
And I think it's a very smart thing to do, because everybody knows, like, learns about news on Instagram or like Facebook. So it's really cool way to, and I've always thought that, like, it's like, why can't we post anything? Why can't we post about the movie? Because you want to show it. Like, to be honest, I am even thinking, like, all the movies that I've done, I've never posted them online, because I was like preserving them for festivals, and festivals don't want you to post it anywhere public before the festival. And so now I have a friend who has a production company, and he does a short film every like 2 months, like starting like $10,000 budget, which is like a good movie
for a short. Yeah.
And he's posting everything on Facebook. Like he makes a new movie, he posts it on Facebook. He makes a new movie, he posts it on Facebook. And I'm like, why isn't he not sending it to festivals and like all that? And then I'm like, wow, but this is like so much more people know about him, so much more people are reaching out to him to make projects with him, so much more people know about like how talented he is and all that. And I'm like, this is so smart. Instead of like sending it to festivals and waiting for like 1 year, 2 years before showing this film to everybody else, you just make the movie, you post it.
Right.
And so that's what I'm trying to make for the. I'm actually trying to produce. To start producing films, because as I said, that like there's a lot of projects that I'm invited to, but not so many comedies.
Okay.
So I want to come up with a project which I can find the team for it.
Okay.
And make a comedy and then post it on Facebook.
That's awesome.
So
no, that's good. Here's my thing with festivals, because Female Filmmakers Fuse started as a festival, and we still do. We have our annual film festival. This year is going to be our 3rd annual, and it takes place in late October, early November, depending on where it falls in the calendar year. We don't base it off of this exactly, but sometimes it does help. And just so, because I've talked to other festival organizers, where not so much putting the movie out there, but promoting it. So when they see that a movie is well promoted, sometimes they know this movie is going to generate people to come watch it. So there's going to generate people to come to the festival. So it's almost the same thing when it comes to that. And that's part of the reason why I think doing the promotion that way is super important. And I highly recommend it. The whole promoting, getting your cast and crew to promote, because I think it helps out, and it helps them be more involved. Yeah. Like when I was doing a thriller horror film not too long ago, and it came. Yeah, a feature. Nice. And it was out of the blue. Same thing. It was just kind of like, let's just do this. At first, we didn't want them. We still don't want to reveal too much of it. But while we were on set, everything else, even before, we were constantly posting. The actors were posting. The crew was posting. And they just didn't post too much information, which was what we said. And it helped us out. And then while we were on set, we would give, like, for example, if my phone had the Instagram account of the film, I'd be like, today, this actor it's going to be their day. Nice. And so they would do a lot of live videos and
that's awesome.
And it helped it out, and people were more intrigued and involved. So now we have followers saying, like, when is this movie coming out? And we're like, yes.
That's amazing.
That's
a really smart way to promote it.
Yeah, and I think that's important, because then it helps with the energy with the group, with your cast and crew, because you're sharing something together. Yeah. And I like it when my cast and crew want to talk about it, because then it shows that they're actually happy to do this project. They're interested in it. Right. Is that
proud to be a part
exactly
of it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't like it when, and I've come across this, not so much, but I've come across it before in the past, where I would work with an actor and they were just like, I don't want to talk about it, and they would never mention it. And it's kind of like, well, that sucks. Yeah. Because you're in it. Yeah. So it's kind of like, all right, well, thanks.
Right. Why are you doing this?
Exactly. Then? Paycheck.
Okay.
But
that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just saying that it's nice to work with people that want to work on it with you.
Yeah.
Because they become a part of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They become a part of it. So your horror film, your thriller film is coming up. You're going to be working on that in February.
Yes.
But you really want to work on a comedy.
I do want to work on the comedy. Yeah, I want to work on I love thrillers. One of my favorite movies always been either a comedy or a thriller.
Okay.
Not a horror as much, but to be honest, like the first draft of the script that I read, it was not a horror. It was a thriller, which I love.
Okay.
So, but we want to push it towards horror more to be able to sell it better.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
It's really interesting how that works, right? I was just like, I don't understand it, but it's just really interesting because anyone that's in the, there are people that love horror films, like love it. And it does have a really strong following, and that's what's ironic is like you can watch a horror film and not know any actor on it. Like it's I think one of the genres that you can get away with just having your friends film it, and it could possibly still be successful. You know, because people are it's got such a following. Yeah. You know, if it's horror, if it's scary, there's a group of people that will watch it. Yes. You can't do that with any other genre. You have to have someone that's super talented, and sometimes, as you know, in a production sense, you try to get someone that has somewhat of a name or a following because you want to get more people to watch that film, especially when it comes to drama, because it's harder to sell. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be super good. So you can't do that with any other genre. Horror is the only movie genre that you can get away with literally getting a camcorder and doing it in your backyard with your friends because you'll have a following.
Yeah, and it's very interesting for me because we didn't learn in school as cinematographers that much how to sell movies. But this is what I'm really interested in right now because I want to know, like, I don't want to do it just for my own, like, art. How should I say? I want to be able to film the movie in the way that I feel like this is the right way to tell the story. Yeah. But I also want to be aware of what people are buying. Right. Like, what is it on the market that people are actually buying? And because if I'm just like looking at the, I don't know, some cheap TV horrors, it's not something that I would like to make, obviously. Right. So, but yeah, basically I'm very interested in the market, like how it works, because I think it's a very important like part of the brain that needs to be always turned on in a cinematographer when making a movie, because you don't want to make it just like because I like it. Right. You have to make it because I like it and people will like it too. Right. That's true. So yeah, I don't know.
And that's kind of like, that's something that you have to get into yourself, like mentally. Exactly. Because you have a passion for it. And it's sometimes you have to add this component where, okay, now I'm looking at the business aspect of it. Exactly. Even though you don't sometimes want to. Yeah. It's something that unfortunately we have to do.
Yes, and I think it's you don't want to do it because it's something that's unusual. But in the end of the day, who are you making this movie for?
That's true.
You're not making it for yourself or for your archive.
That's true.
You're making so that you can translate to people what you're thinking and feeling. Right. And there are like certain ways that people usually like perceive information. So
that's true.
I think we need to be respectful of that too.
Very true. No, that's a good point. That's a very good point because I don't think a lot of filmmakers are aware of that, and I wish that unless they're seasoned, you know, like people that have been in this industry for a long time, but I wish that's something that they would teach in film school. I think it's super important because a lot of people don't understand that. Like I remember when I was going to film school, and the one thing that bugged me is like the students that would get a camera and automatically say I'm a cinematographer. Right. I couldn't stand that. And then all of a sudden they're doing everything. They're producing, editing, directing, writing, everything, and cinematographer. And I'm like, what? Like, wait, what are you? Like, what are you doing? What do you want? You know, and they don't even know. So that was one of my pet peeves when I was a student in film school, was the students that would all claim they were cinematographers just because they had the camera. And there's a difference, and that's something that I wish schools will explain. There's a difference between being a cinematographer and a camera operator. There's a huge difference, because the cinematographer helps convey the story, right? So you have the writer, and then you have the director. Sometimes it's the same person, but most times they're not. And the cinematographers, their job is super important because they bring it to life as well with the lighting, with trying to capture it with what the director wants. So it's like you said, it's a very important marriage, right? Because you have to be able to understand each other. And I would hope the director can understand the cinematographer and get input from them, because that's what I try to do, is kind of like, this is how I see it. And if you come and say like, have you seen this? Like move me a little bit. I'm like, oh, I did not see that. Like, I like that better. Thank you. You know, because that's important. Like, we have to have that openness, that open mind as well. Yeah. And being a camera operator, you're literally there to do whatever the cinematographer says. Like, this is the shot we're getting. If there's more than one camera, you're in charge of this camera. I want you to get this shot and make sure you get this. And so obviously you have to have that relationship with your camera department, with your camera team, the camera operators, but that doesn't make them, and it doesn't mean that their job is less important, but I would like film students to understand that there's a variance, there's very different types within the same group, within the same department. So just because you have a camera doesn't make you an automatic cinematographer. Right. If that's what you want to be, great. But if you're not sure and you think just because you have a camera in your hand, that doesn't mean you're a cinematographer. Right. And I don't know if I'm wrong in saying that. It was just like one of the things, like, I was always annoyed in school. I was just like, what? And then they would end up not being it because they didn't want to be it, but they had this camera. So they're like, well, I'm the cinematographer because I have the camera. I'm like,
well, look at this this way. For example, cinematographer is the person who is creating moving images to tell the story. So probably, like, on a professional level, to call yourself cinematographer means you have to work on like 15 movies, spend like 2,000 hours doing your craft. But on the other hand, like, people who are calling them, I guess some of them are like following the fake it until you make it.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like, how else would you call yourself if you have a camera, you are telling a story with the camera, with the moving images, and you are trying to like do your best. Right. I like, for me, I don't have problems with people calling themselves cinematographers, because as soon as you look at their work, you can understand the level of cinematography they're making.
That's true.
So,
and light has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, of course. Cinematography, I think, what is it? Writing with light.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And photography is, cinematography is lighting with movement, and photography is writing with light.
Nice. Okay.
So that's why cinematographer and director of photography is very, like, it's almost one can't live without the other one.
Right.
Both. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, because some people are saying cinematographers, and other people who are not experienced, they expect a cinematographer to be at a certain level. And when a cinematographer calls himself a cinematographer, but he is not at a certain level of professionalism, then the whole how should I say, the whole cinematography title starts to fall apart.
That's true. Good point. Great point. No, that's a great point. Yeah. But that was just one of my pet peeves. I don't find it, I don't run into it now on a professional.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're fine. That something fell off from the window. I don't find that on a professional standpoint. I don't come across that. I've known people that have come across others that have given their reels and said, here's my work, and then when they watch it, they notice it's other people's work. I came across this ad once where this woman said, hey, be careful of this guy. He's trying to meet women, but he says he's in the industry and whatnot, and he changes it every so often. This is just an example, and this is a true story.
Okay.
And he changes his name slightly and changes his handle, his social media handle, all the time, because when he gets caught, he does it again. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Yeah.
So a persistent guy.
Very persistent. Well, So I went and I looked, and I found a photo. Someone that I knew took this photo on set. and it was a beautiful photo of a vehicle with a crane on it, for film, and it had a camera, and I think there was an elephant. I don't recall, but there was a very beautiful photo that I knew this person that took that picture. I knew her personally at the time. She took this picture and she shared it, and I mean, she got praise for this photo, and she worked on the set, right? I don't remember what she did on set, but she worked on that set. And this was many months ago, and then many months later, I come across this woman saying, "This guy, be careful of this guy." So I went on his Instagram, and there was that picture, and he was like, "I'm on set again, da da da," and I was like, "What?" Because I personally never came across that until that moment, and so I contacted the person that I knew, and I was like, "Hey, check this out." And I did a screenshot, and I was like, "This guy's claiming your picture, saying that he's on set, filming this project," and she was like, "Oh, that's weird." And a lot of the pictures that he took from other people, right. Like he just would troll other people's Instagrams and just be like, "Oh, cool, I'm gonna take that and say I'm on their set and I'm working it." And I've talked to other people where they've gotten reels and they would hire someone and then it didn't match. Like when they were on set, this person did not work the level that he sent the reels, and then they did an investigation and they found out none of this footage was his.
Oh no.
That's
awful.
Yeah, and I found out that, I don't know if it still happens, but it does happen quite a bit, where people are just like, "I think I can do this," like what you said, fake it till you make it.
Well, I think the way to go is for all cinematographers is to put like a watermark on all their reels.
Yes.
That would be a smart way to do it. Because I think I've had a story where my footage was taken for something else. It wasn't like specifically for a DP who wanted to get a job, but it was like for promotion of somebody else's website and stuff like that. And I was. I don't usually feel bad when this happens. I always say that they can steal the bucket with water, but they can't steal the source.
Okay, gotcha.
Water for me.
Yeah.
So
smart. Okay, that's a great way of looking at it.
I don't care that somebody is trying to like steal something. I feel bad for people who believed those people.
Right.
And those people who did this bad thing, I think they're lost in life.
Right, lost in life, or lost in life, or they're trying, like you said, fake it till they make it. Maybe they think in their mind, "I could be as good. I just want the shot." Right. So who knows what the thought is. Hopefully anyone that's listening, don't do that. Exactly. Get your own footage. I'm pretty sure you're talented in your own way. Just you could do it.
That's true.
But do you have any advice for someone that would want to start in this industry as a cinematographer? Do you have any advice for them?
For sure, yeah. I think cinematography is just one of a lot of different ways you can go in this industry. And if you believe in something, if you believe that if you like doing it, then I think go for it. Like don't listen to anyone, and if you have like hard times achieving something, there will always be hard times. And as long as like you have faith as long as you have dreams,
right?
Like if you have a dream, I think anything is possible. And if you have a dream, then just go for it. And the fact that you're gonna fail, it's for sure, it's the fact. Don't pay attention to it, just keep going.
Excellent. Good advice, because failure is a part of life, and it's what we do afterwards that matters.
Exactly. No successful person, like every successful person failed.
Exactly. So that's very good point. Very, very good point. Where let's get into where people can find you. Let's go into your social media.
Cool.
Let's do this. Social media, website. Where can people find you?
So I have a website. It's my first name and my last name.
Go for it. Yeah.
It's Olesia saveleva.com.
Perfect.
So, and well, all my media is the same.
Okay.
I mean, my name is not the easiest.
I like it. That's unique. I love the name. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful name.
Right. So yeah, all my Facebook and I am active on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main social network that I'm using.
Okay.
And now I started my blog.
Oh, okay.
So, and I started it, we have like our Russian Facebook kind of thing.
Okay.
And I started over there, but now I'm transferring it all to Facebook, and I'm going to translate it into English, so it's going to be like my blog.
Awesome.
On Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to make sure to follow you on Facebook and Instagram. And I checked out your website. I'm going to put it on anyone that's listening, when everything comes up, it'll be there. The website will be there so they can find you. And to find it on YouTube as well, it'll be there, linked to the website. And then, I want to thank you for being the first guest this year.
Yay!
Yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome.
I loved it. First cinematographer guest here this year. I loved it.
Thank you.
Super talented woman here. Just super talented individual, period. And I look forward to hopefully working with you in the near future. Like my voice really went high right there. I was like doing a Stewie thing there.
I love it.
But anyhow, I want to thank all of you for listening. I gotta learn your name.
Olesia.
Olesia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, and then everyone, please have a safe and happy Sunday. Let's look forward to a very successful year this year.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.